I'm Hannah Patterson and originally from New Hampshire, currently a resident of Whitehall, Michigan. I am the Girls Camp Director at Miniwanca.
And how did you hear about the AYF / when did you start working with the AYF?
It was back in college, and I had a friend who was like, hey, come work with me at this really amazing place. And I was like, okay, I need a summer job. So I started the interview process, and everything I heard about the AYF, about Mara Vista initially, was really incredible. And I had this fun realization in the interview process. I remember saying to the person who was director then, Chris Light, like, I have always worked with kids, I guess, or with people, and I'm really excited to keep doing that. And so like having that realization, realizing that I liked working with people was maybe one of my first like ding light bulb moments that this might be something I wanted to do, or certainly that like working with people and with youth in particular was something I wanted to do. And it just was really affirmed for me throughout that first summer as I watched not just myself grow and realize a lot of new amazing things about myself, but I got to see that in the campers and the other staff members around me as well, that the space to be our best selves and the space to try to take our best selves and use them to uphold and build a positive community was a really incredible thing. So I've been doing that work since 2011 now, and it has continued to be really rewarding every year since.
You mentioned early on how you really enjoyed working with kids even before the AYF. Can you go through what makes you want to continue that work in youth development with the AYF?
Yeah, one of my favorite ways that we talk about our staff members is that idea of youth development, that we are not just, we're not just cabin leaders, we're not just camp staff, we're youth development professionals. And the key in there to me is that development piece. I found that something that is really rewarding, like I said, for me and seeing it in others as well, is that idea of development and growth, that it is one of the most special things to be able to know that internally, like we already have all of the amazing good pieces of ourselves, that they exist. We're not trying to give anyone anything they don't already have. We're not trying to ask anyone to be something that they're not. What we're saying is that who you are inherently is amazing, and we can polish it, we can make it look a little bit more pretty, or help you like get to the place where you feel great about how you're interacting with people. Certainly I've developed that a lot, over this like last 10 years, but you're already incredible as who you are. And to get to watch kids, come to us. Maybe they start as an 8-year-old who's just like, I don't know myself. I just like crafts and swimming and archery or something like that. And then to go over time and watch them be able to realize like, oh, I'm brave. I like trying new things. I'm a really good friend. I care about people by noticing who they are and really being able to like tell them that, or by being there for them when they need that, or I'm really curious. I ask questions and I get to know the world around me or myself, and watching them sort of grow that knowledge of themselves is incredibly special. So like I said, that's a huge piece of it for me, is that like that development piece and seeing the growth that happens over a series of years.
Yeah, for sure. As you kind of like have seen throughout your time at the AYF, you have seen so many of these kids develop and grow. I'm wondering, is there any moment or event that happened in your time here that you really connected or impacted or were impacted by a camper? Is there a specific time that you can remember?
Yeah, I think so. The one that really stood out to me my first summer, and I think really illuminated what we were doing for me in a very real way, was it was about halfway through the summer, and one of my campers and I were down at the climbing tower. She was climbing, and I think I was maybe belaying or kind of watching from the sidelines, cheering her on, keeping an eye on how everything was. And she had gotten about halfway up the wall, and she was like, okay, I think I'm it. That's it. I'm done. I'm ready to come down. And, you know, we do challenge by choice here, aka like any challenge that you take on, it's your choice to do it. We want to challenge ourselves, but how far you challenge yourself is really personal. So we never tell people like, you must keep going. But we do sometimes encourage them, like, I believe in you. I think you can go further. Do you want to go further? So I kind of used that language with her. And I was like, I see this handhold just up here that you can grab if you want to. Do you want to try it? And she was like, you know what? Yeah, I do want to try it. So she went up a little further. And then she was like, and I was like, I believe in you still. Here's another foothold. Try that. And she was like, okay. And she kept doing that kind of up the wall bit by bit. And she finally made it, and she was really proud of herself. Like, she felt really accomplished. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is our work. What we are doing is giving campers experiences where they are able to, they're the ones who are doing it. They're the ones who are having the experience. But here we are belaying them or encouraging them from the sidelines and helping them feel safe and supported, and helping them know that we believe in them. And maybe, you know, showing the path a little bit more in a way that they can't see it. But, you know, that our work is to be of support for others. And that has really stuck with me all through these years, and is kind of what I've tried to do ever since then.
As these campers kind of navigate their summers throughout the AYF, they learn so much about themselves. I'm wondering, what have you kind of learned or brought with you throughout these years as working through the AYF that has kind of stuck with you or is really relevant in your mind?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are ways where I feel like I've learned so much, it's sometimes hard to, you know, filter it down into a couple words. I feel like what I was saying before about getting to know yourself better and knowing that like who you've always been is amazing has been a large piece of my journey. Sometimes I feel like I'm on a pendulum, you know, where it's like you're kind of always swinging and swinging between different things. And so there will be these moments where I'm like, yes, I'm brave and strong. And then I'll have another moment where I'm like, oh gosh, I just like bulldozed through something, and okay, I need to like bring it back and like be a little bit more gentle and listen to people around me. And I feel like a lot of my journey through the years has been this like slowly getting the pendulum towards balance. When we talk about balanced living, I think it's not just about what we do, but how we are in the world and how we interact with ourselves and others. And I think striving towards balance has been one of the biggest journeys that I personally have been on through this last, you know, decade with the AYF.
Yeah, as we talk about that kind of balance and like going into the motto of the AYF, and it talks a lot about being your best self. And curious to wonder, or curious to think, what is your idea of bringing the best self, not only at camp, but also outside into the world?
That's a great question. I think I've alluded to this a little bit already too. To me, best self has to live again in balance, because balance is so important. It has to live in balance with positive community. And I think inherently it does. We are not individuals free from those around us. So my best self is going to be me and who I am, and is, you know, at its best is me being true to myself, but who I am is informed by and in support of the people around me. And I kind of like, you know, my best, if I'm being my best helps bring everyone up with me. So I see that, again, camp is the practice ground. So camp is the place over the last 10 years where I've been able to work towards becoming my best and work towards knowing, you know, how can I be kind? How can I be supportive of others? How can I really express what I'm trying to say truly. You know, that is always a work in progress. How can I get the words coming out of my mouth to say the thing that I'm really intending them to say? Um, and so, you know, in the time since being at camp, I've learned how to do that better and can take that out to my community and, you know, can create friendships and connections with others, can support others. And it's, you know, it's a work in progress. I'll always be on, but it's cool to see that in my life, and I hope that others see that in their own lives as well.
You have been with the AYF for a while now, and have obviously gained so much experience from that. Let's say in the future, about 50 to 75 years forward, where do you hope the AYF is, or where's the AYF? What does the AYF look like in that future for you?
Ooh, big question. The AYF does so many incredible things, and it always has. You know, when we look at what its history has been in the last almost 100 years, some of the biggest things that have held true through it are those concepts of best self and balanced living and positive community. Like, our mission really is the line that is drawn throughout the history of the AYF, and I hope that never changes. But I think that's something, there's a thing that we really have been trying to aim towards that we haven't gotten there yet. So I hope in 50 or 75 years we actually get there. And that's making the American Youth Foundation actually representative of America. Right now, I think we have this like small slice of the pie that we're representing, and it's a great slice, but it's not truly everyone. We are not as diverse as we want to be. We are not as representative as we want to be. And some of that comes down to camp culture, which is inherently very white. So I think, you know, there's a lot of work to be done to get there. I think we're going to have to see some things change. We might have to see some traditions change and some songs change and some ways that we interact with each other change a little bit to make it a space that is more open and welcoming for people who don't necessarily feel welcome right now. But I think that it is incredible work that we could be doing, and we can still bring that line of best self and balanced living and positive community with us into that.
Thank you for being our guinea pig in our first ever Staff Spotlight interview. And I appreciate your time.